Good morning, my friends. I hope you're all well and that you've had a wonderful weekend, or whenever you're watching or listening to this. I hope you're very, very well. So, we are speaking about trauma today, and this week on Instagram, we're going to be covering the topic of trauma. And the reason we're doing this is because one, it was requested, and also because everyone struggles with trauma. Everyone has experienced trauma to some degree or another, right? There are sort of what you can think of like mini traumas, like kind of relational traumas, kind of a traumatic relationship with a sibling or with a parent that was like consistent. And then there's also, the bigger sort of traumas, not that those relational traumas are any less significant. When I use the word bigger, I mean sort of like slightly more potentially catastrophic, like, a car accident where you lose the life of a loved one, or, things like 9/11, rape, stuff like that. So there is many, many, many different kinds of traumas, and things that are traumatic. You might think, oh, that isn't traumatic, but it would have been traumatic for somebody else. So it's really, it can be quite a sensitive issue. And it's important to kind of like handle it with care when we're speaking about trauma. Now, the definition of a trauma is, kind of experiencing full contact with no preparation. So it's not being prepared for the situation that you're in and dealing with an extremely challenging situation. So, for example, a teen who is approached sexually by a teacher and maybe has a crush on that teacher, but doesn't have the life experience to know what is appropriate, what is inappropriate, what's expected of her, what's not. All of these things, these kinds of situations can be extremely traumatic. The thing about trauma is that it's not the traumatic situation itself that can be extremely damaging. It does have impact, obviously. It's the recovery that is extremely important. It's, has this person recovered or not? So basically, we're dealing with resilience, right? And at A Life I Choose, whether we're using the word resilient or not, we are constantly speaking about resilience, because in order to live a high quality of life, you need to practice resilience. And resilience isn't something that you have or you don't. It's something that you learn, and it's something that you continuously practice, and it's something that you might forget how to be resilient for a little bit, and then you remind yourself, or you seek support in order to remind yourself. Resilience is the ability to recover. It's the ability to get back up after you've been knocked down. So you can think of trauma as knocking you down, and the resilience is the ability to get back up. So in today's short time together, I want to talk about, how to get back up, some ways to get back up. The thing about trauma is that when you do not recover from a trauma, you get stuck, right? So in the moment of trauma, because you're not prepared to react, you go into freezing mode, freeze off or run away, kind of, or fighting, but in a way that isn't like productive, it's messy. So essentially, you don't manage to do what you need to do in order to keep yourself safe or protected, right? In a trauma, you feel completely unsafe, and you end up reacting in a way that doesn't protect you. So what happens is you get stuck. And then what happens on a brain level is that the brain feels the stuckness and keeps trying to complete the cycle. It keeps trying to finish what happened. So you'll find yourself constantly ruminating over what happened, going back to it, trying to understand what the fuck happened, like how did this happen? What could I have done? Blah, 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 blah. The brain keeps going back to it to try to complete the cycle, and also to try to protect you from it ever happening again. And the brain often thinks, oh, if I ruminate enough, then it won't happen again, right? Or nothing else can happen like it, or whatever, which isn't true. So it can be very messy recovering from a trauma, especially if you don't know how to do it. And we need support with recovering from trauma. I don't suggest just doing it on your own. Even people who are trained in trauma, who understand trauma like the back of their hand, and I'm one of them, I understand trauma like the back of my hand. I still seek support when I experience traumas, because we need support, because it's so easy for the body and the brain to get stuck, and actually on a brain level, there's a part of the brain that actually disconnects from the rest of the brain when we experience a trauma. And so through therapy and through healing, the prefrontal cortex can reconnect with the rest of the brain, so that the brain starts to function easier, and starts to process easier. And as a result, the body does as well. There are so many ailments that happen as a result of unresolved trauma, things like IBS and fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue and depression, and when you recover from a trauma, then the body is able to recover as well and is able to start functioning as well. And so you end up, alleviating yourself of all of these very taxing conditions. So it's really, really important to recover from trauma and to seek support as you do it. So here are some how-tos on how to recover from trauma. So first of all, seek support. Seek support, right, in the form of therapy. Therapy is extremely important. So do sessions, right? We offer these sessions. You can also go to other people. Find what is right for you. Find the service that is right for you, right? And do it, because the talking will help you to make meaning. It will help you to process what has happened. It will help you to realize that it's over. It will help you to just make sense of it and also to let it go. Okay, so that's a must. Also, some form of physical therapy is very helpful, because the body needs to come back to a state of calm. So, if you know of a good practitioner who's going to help you to, get into a calmer state more often through physical therapy, whether that's helping you move, helping you to gain your movement back, or even just massaging the stress out of you, that is extremely helpful as well. And also giving yourself the space to be more vulnerable, to need extra cuddles, to need extra time with your loved ones and the people you feel safe with. It's okay. You've been through something that scared the shit out of you, and you are allowed to be a bit needier at this point in time. And if you don't give yourself that, it's like not giving a child who needs extra cuddles. Children go through trauma as well. You can't avoid your children from going through trauma. They will go through trauma. So the question is, how can you be there for them in the recovery, right? And support is everything in the recovery. We all need support in order to recover. So, if your kid's been through a trauma, they're gonna need extra cuddles for a while. And, if you kind of say, oh no, I better not kind of give them extra cuddles, because, then they get into the habit of always needing to become needy, then they will become needy, because you're not giving them what they need in that time, right? But if you give them the extra cuddles, you let them know they're safe. When you let a kid know they're safe, then they can believe they're safe. And when they believe they're safe, then they can go off into the world again and explore again. And we're exactly the same. And that's why recovering from trauma is fundamental, because when we don't recover from trauma, we get stuck and we cannot fulfill our potential. In order to fulfill our potential, to live our best life, or whatever it is you want to call it, we need to be recovering from trauma. We need to be in touch with ourselves. We need to be in a state of creativity and flow. And when you're in a state of fight or flight, when you're stuck there because you haven't recovered from a trauma, you're not going to be able to get into a state of flow. You're not going to be able to create at your highest level and to give at your highest level. Something that you'll notice with animals in the wild is that when they undergo a trauma, they shake it off. Instantly, when they experience something scary, they will shake their entire body to dispel the fear, right? And this is vital even for us. And what we find with humans is that we don't do the shaking, right? We don't do the shaking. I don't know why, it just doesn't happen. So the shaking is important to kind of release it. And I'm not telling you have to shake like a crazy person. What I'm saying is just, do some kind of dancing, do some kind of exercise, on a regular basis. You need to sweat it out, get the stress out, move it out, okay? So that's my second tip. And my third tip is to breathe and come to this present moment. Be present in this moment. Look around you and notice that everything is okay in this moment. And it might seem really stupid, but the more and more that you do this, the more your brain is going to trust being present. Because at the moment, your brain isn't present because it's still trying to protect you from that past trauma. Which past? But the thing is, if you're not present, your brain isn't going to be able to protect you from anything that could happen right now. So I'm not telling you become present so you be hypervigilant. No, I'm telling you become present so that you can be in the present. And also when you notice that everything is okay in this moment in time, even though there's scary shit happening in the world, there's a war, there's a pandemic. I mean, there's some crazy shit happening in the world, let's face it. And then there's all of the little things, happening, with the big things, but little in comparison around us, which is stressful. But if you just come to this minuscule moment right now, it's actually okay. And it's actually manageable. And you can breathe in this moment. But if you stay with all of the, oh my God, the war and the pandemic and the accident and the, what's going to happen tomorrow and how am I going to prepare for this? And oh my God, everything's always on me. And blah, blah, blah. If you stay in that space, I'm not telling you never go to that space. I'm not telling you don't acknowledge the things around you. Absolutely do. At the same time, if you stay in that state, you're not going to be able to be in the present. And if you're not in the present, you can't be compassionate with others, you can't create, you can't focus. And it becomes really challenging for you to fulfill your potential or to create the kind of life that you want to create, because you're constantly in, emergency mode, you're constantly in fight or flight. So it's really important to train your brain and your body to step out of fight or flight on a regular basis so that you can heal, you can recover, you can be present, you can focus, you can create, and you can have fun eventually, have fun. And from a space of fun, you manifest incredible things. Fun is vital to being alive. So guys, I am wishing you the best of luck with your experience of trauma. And not just the best of luck, but I'm sending you healing vibes and a lot of love. I want you to know that we do offer the service of giving you the support as you heal from the trauma, giving you the support, giving you the safe space, to reflect, to recover, to get into a state of rest and digest more and more often so that it becomes your default state. And you can choose when to react as opposed to always having to be hyper vigilant. We offer this service with lifestyle strategy sessions. If you have any questions, please DM me, okay? And we will send you all the info about our packages. And we'll do a Q&A about this topic on Thursday. I'm sending you so much love and peace, and I'm really looking forward to speaking to you soon.